Hi, Bruno Jr. here. Our podcast, Busting Addiction and Myths, is sponsored by SafeHouseRehab.com. SafeHouse believes that traditional treatments fall short of the needs of clients who face the modern problems of addiction. Modern problems need modern solutions. Multiple addictions, multiple relapses, multiple triggers, and cheaper and more powerful street drugs set up unprecedented challenges facing treatment centers. What is needed is a more sophisticated approach, a better way forward. There are 3 reasons to choose our progressive modern treatment program. 1, a more sophisticated intake process. 2, technology proven to enhance recovery. And 3, the most robust aftercare program in our sector. To learn more, visit us at SafeHouseRehab.com. Let's call this episode All Outta Love, which, if you think about it, has a double meaning. One connotation suggests that I'm out of love. I have no more love left to give. Let's go with that one for now. Of course, we're talking about how addiction invades what would normally be a happy, wholesome family and turns it into a sick parody of itself. We're talking about that ever-present monster known as codependency, which comes alive without the family's knowledge or permission. Why do we even bring this up? One major myth that absolutely needs to be smashed is that addiction is the sole province of the addict. If you believe that you are okay and the addict is the only sick one, you are dead wrong. Here's a shocker for you. You, that is mom, dad, spouse, anybody close to the addict, are sick too. You have not by any means escaped the long arm of the disease of addiction and or alcoholism. That's why addiction is called a family disease, as is alcoholism. You have not escaped codependency and all that comes with it, such as the compulsion to control, the loss of your own agenda in favor of the addict's, the anger, the fear, and the resentment when your loved one disappoints you time and time again. The loss of real love, perhaps the greatest loss of all, is the more subtle one, and you will see in a moment how this loss sabotages all your relationships. Let's go to one of the many definitions of codependency that speaks directly to our theme today, that of being all out of love. This is how one psychiatrist puts it: those self-defeating learned behaviors or personality flaws that lead to diminished capability to begin or take part in loving relationships. Another way of saying it is that the disorder has crippled our ability to truly love another human being. For one thing, we, that is the mom, dad, spouse, and so forth, are caught up in trying to control the subject, that is, trying to steer his behavior due to our own fears. We confuse possessing with loving. For another, this possessive love is the antithesis of what real love is supposed to be, and that is freedom, appreciation, kindness, forgiveness, empathy, and altruism, among other things. What may have started as a healthy, open, two-way relationship between people who love each other in the right sort of way, it got twisted and sick as addictive disorder took hold in the home. What started as an honest, supportive, and spontaneous relationship became a battlefield of dishonesty and control. That's what we mean when we say that the formerly normal person is all out of love, for the genuine love that once flourished is now gone. A misguided conception. Another dimension that we introduced earlier is the idea that we did this all out of love when we were really operating with a misguided conception of love. We twisted ourselves into unrecognizable shapes just to make the other person happy or better or healthy or responsible, the way things are supposed to be. Melanie Beatty, a well-known author on the topic, says this: the majority of us, that is codependents, are so busy reacting to other people's issues that we have not taken the time to spot, much less treat, our very own issues. We are not okay unless the beloved other is okay, and we are especially miserable if our loved one is not okay with us. We, in quotes, have lied, cheated, covered for, excused, and blamed others for the addict's lack of success. It's never his fault, by the way, or it's all his fault, so therefore we are the victims. The truth is that they play the victim and yet feel unworthy unless they are tending to someone else's drama, which gives them some power for now. By they, I'm talking about the codependents in the household. They believe they are not good enough, are afraid of making mistakes, reject praise or compliments, and do not have a clear sense of their own agenda, preferring rather to live their lives through the lives of others. They have a terrible sense of boundaries, or none at all. They will thoughtlessly intrude on your space without a qualm. Conversely, they will allow others to invade theirs, not knowing they have an inherent right to tell a person to back off. The disease has beaten them down. The other, their loved one, lives in their heads rent-free 24/7. Attend to our own needs, finally. When we ultimately seek the professional help that our loved ones need in order to turn their lives around, we are counseled on the need to turn attention to our own needs at long last. One is amazed when codependents can't tell you what they are actually feeling, but can describe what the other person is feeling. They seem to live their lives through another person's eyes. That's how obsessed they have become with the other. When asked to describe their own primary feelings, they struggle. When they're asked, are you mad, glad, sad, afraid, ashamed, or hurt? They struggle with that answer. They're not in touch with their feelings. Their feelings have been stuffed by taking care of the other person, by fear and by shame. They struggle to find the person who got lost in the shuffle. They will rebel at the thought that the disease stole their identity, which it did. Stop the rescue. Years ago, I decided to attend Al-Anon, a 12-step program for families of addicts and alcoholics, upon the advice of my AA sponsor. He had had enough of my whining about my daughter's addictive behavior and literally told me, if you don't get your head straight about this, you're going to sink into relapse. And relapse for an alcoholic can mean death. I did not want to sink into relapse after 10 years of sobriety at this point, and that was about 18 years ago. I learned that I needed to stop rescuing my kid from every scrape she ever got herself into and to develop a sense of loving detachment with respect to our relationship. After a few months of Al-Anon meetings and informal counseling, I went to see an old pro who was an expert at addictions and codependency counseling, and asked him how I was doing. At the end of the hour, of course, asked him, John, how am I doing? He stated with a bit of a chuckle, Bruno, you're doing pretty well. You're staying healthy, getting your sleep, going to work, getting to your Al-Anon meetings, and you're not flying to Texas to rescue your daughter. Then he said something that has stuck with me all these years and is true of every situation, not just mine. He said this, Bruno, don't let your daughter's disease steal your money or your peace of mind. The would-be rescuer was rescued from his addictive way of thinking and went on to grow from there. What did we learn from our discussion about love? We learned that 1, no one in the family is immune to the effects of addictive disorder. That's why it's called a family disease. 2, codependency is an inevitable byproduct of addiction in the family, but it starts subtly and is barely noticeable at first. 3, the addiction sucks all the right kind of love out of the family members and replaces it with denial, guilt, and anger. 4, the concept of love becomes twisted into obsession and control. Resentment rules when things are out of control. And 5, changing the focus from taking care of the addict to taking care of oneself is the essential change that is needed to heal. Our podcast is sponsored by SafeHouseRehab.com, a modern approach to recovery. To learn more, visit us at SafeHouseRehab.com.